Freshwater Habitats Trust is actually a national organisation, so we work across England and some parts of Wales to protect and preserve freshwater species and freshwater habitats, and to reverse and halt the decline of freshwater species. And we have a team specifically here in the New Forest, and that is because we've identified the New Forest as being really an incredible hotspot for freshwater biodiversity. So as an organisation, we have identified 24 important freshwater landscapes. And we've done that by looking at things like species records, and we found that the New Forest and Dorset Heaths is one of these important freshwater landscapes, and it's actually one with the most records of rare species per kilometre grid square. So it's really important for rare species and for biodiversity, and we've also found that it's got a really high proportion of clean and unpolluted water bodies. And we've basically found that out by using these little water quality test kits. So the water quality test kits look at nitrates and phosphates, which are two really common forms of pollution that you'd see in freshwater bodies. And we had groups of volunteers essentially go out and use these water quality test kits to look at the levels of nitrates and phosphates in New Forest ponds and other small water bodies like headwater streams and ditches and flushes. They tested around 675 water bodies, and of that, I think 75% were found to be clean and unpolluted according to these water quality test kits. So they had very low to basically no nitrates or phosphates in those water bodies. And these clean and unpolluted water bodies were basically sort of centred around the centre of the New Forest, and that is because we have the centre of the New Forest is free from intensive agriculture, and there's less urbanisation, less sort of urban settlements, so less agricultural and urban runoff going into those water bodies in the centre. And then as you sort of go out towards the edge of the New Forest, we did see sort of higher levels of pollution in those water bodies. But still, 75% clean and unpolluted is incredibly good and very rare. So if you go to a similar catchment, the River Rock catchment, we found that only 28% of those water bodies were clean and unpolluted in comparison. So it shows you how incredible the New Forest is for both rare species and for clean and unpolluted water. And the reason for this sort of clean water, as I say, is partly because there's less of this intensive agriculture in the centre of the forest, but also because of the grazing that we have here in the forest. So the traditional practice of commoning has really helped to maintain these this high quality freshwater habitats that we see. So I just want to briefly show you how we use these water quality tests. So we use them all the time. We use them when we're going out and surveying ponds. We use them when we're looking at perhaps restoring or creating a pond. We'll go and use them in those areas to make sure that the water in those areas is clean. And if it's not clean, what can we do to clean it up before we build a pond there? And they're very simple to use. So you can see if you look at the test kits, so there'll be either a little N or a little P at the bottom of them there. So that'll indicate whether it's for nitrates or phosphates. And so the first thing you want to do is just pull out the pin in the top. Make sure that you pop that in your pocket. You don't want to lose it in the forest and leave a bit of plastic behind. And then give it a squeeze to push the air out. So give it a squeeze, and here I've got a tube of tap water and a tube of bottled water for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to squeeze out the air, pop it in upside down, and then slowly release to suck up the water. And then I've got about a quarter full there. I want to aim for about a third or 2/3. So I'm going to squeeze it again, pop it back in, give it another squeeze. And that should be about right. So that there is my nitrate tube for tap water. And I'm just going to start a timer for 3 minutes. So we time nitrate for 3 minutes and phosphate for 5 minutes. So that one is now going, and then I'll do this nitrate test. So same thing again, give it a squeeze, pop it in. Don't worry if you don't get enough water the first time, because you can just do it again. And there we go. And then I'll set a timer for 5 minutes for the phosphate. They will continue going dark, getting darker and darker after the timer has set. So they'll be all right for an hour or so, but you probably don't want to leave them too long. Oh gosh, and I've got all these little pins that are stuck. Just wipe them. Okay, Do the same again for the bottled water. Give it a squeeze. So what will happen is the water in the tubes will turn either pink or purple, depending on whether you're looking at nitrates or phosphates. Phosphates will go purple, nitrates will go pink if nitrates or phosphates are present in the water. And the depth of that colour basically indicates how much of those pollutants are present in the water. So the reason that we do tend to see high levels of nitrates and phosphates in tap water, so phosphates, we do sometimes see high levels of phosphates in tap water. It depends on the region, but in certain areas where we use lead pipes, for example, phosphates can be added to the water to prevent the lead from dissolving into the water and causing lead poisoning. And nitrates can be found, around the areas that the water that we have, our tap water is taken from. So nitrates often come from agricultural runoff and urban runoff, same with phosphates. So we do still see them in tap water. And actually tap water is very chemically different to water that we would find naturally in the environment. So we tend to find that water in the environment is very low in nitrates and phosphates. It would be pretty much clean if you were to look at water in a New Forest pond. These would be clear, whereas as you can see, tap water is quite a lot darker. And so it is still very much safe to drink. People often worry that it's not going to be safe to drink when they see these levels, but actually it's fine for human consumption. So the World Health Organization states that I think the kind of maximum level for nitrates in water make it fit for human consumption is 50 milligrams per litre. And in bottled water, that is, I think, around 10 milligrams per litre is what they would aim for. So that is safe for human consumption, but by comparison, if you look at the Water Framework Directive, which is how we sort of assess the ecological condition of water bodies in the UK, any water body with 1 milligram per litre or more of nitrates is considered of moderate condition, and any water body with 2 milligrams per litre or more of nitrates is considered poor condition. So considering tap water can have 50 milligrams per litre of nitrates, you can really see the difference there, and it just goes to show that although water might seem clean because you can drink it, that doesn't mean that it's clean and good for the environment. So if we have a little look at the results now. So this is the nitrate test for the tap water. And we can see that that is possibly around a 5, I would put that. So that's pretty high in nitrates. If that was in a New Forest pond, we'd be pretty concerned. And this is the phosphate test, which by comparison is actually very, very low levels of phosphates in the tap water. So I don't think we have lead pipes in the area that I took that tap water sample from, so that would make sense. And then we've got the nitrate test here for the bottled water, which again is quite dark. I'd again probably put that maybe around a 5, maybe even slightly higher. And if we compare that to the tap water, we're actually about the same. And then again, the phosphates in the bottled water is pretty low. So yeah, we would be, again, very concerned if we were getting these readings in a New Forest pond, which tend to be clean and unpolluted. So we tend to get clear results.